Did you really think you could get away with it? I asked, my voice steady yet laced with all the hurt and disbelief I'd been carrying for months. I was standing in front of the entire team in our spacious conference room, a large digital screen behind me displaying a single, unyielding line of text, Truth Unveiled. My heart was pounding fiercely in my chest as I prepared to play the recording that would lay bare the lies that had been swirling around our workplace for far too long. My name is Jordan Alvarez, and until that fateful day, I believed that hard work and integrity would eventually carry me through, regardless of the petty slander thrown my way. I had dedicated the last 3 years to building my reputation at Apex Innovations, a fast-paced tech firm known for its collaborative culture and cutting-edge projects. I had earned the trust of our team, built lasting relationships with clients, and even mentored newcomers. Yet, amidst all this, one coworker, Daniel, had begun to spread malicious lies about me behind closed office doors. He claimed I was negligent in my duties, that I frequently made careless mistakes in our reports, and worst of all, that I wasn't as committed to the company's success as everyone else. At first, I dismissed it as idle gossip, just another instance of office politics. But as weeks turned into months, the whispers grew louder and began affecting my performance reviews. Colleagues who once congratulated me on my contributions started giving me sideways glances. I felt isolated, betrayed, and profoundly hurt by the very person I had once considered a friend. I knew I had to do something, but I also knew that flying blindly into confrontation without evidence would only confirm the very narrative Daniel was trying to build. One brisk Tuesday morning, I recalled a piece of equipment I'd installed on my smartphone, a discreet voice recorder that I used occasionally during one-on-one meetings for clarity. A few weeks earlier, during a casual conversation with Daniel in the break room, I had recorded a snippet of our conversation. I hadn't planned on using it, but his tone that day had been different, almost cocky. He had remarked, "Jordan, why do you even try so hard? You're just doing the bare minimum. Soon, everyone will see that you're not as indispensable as you pretend." I had dismissed it, attributing it to his usual arrogance. But as I listened to that recording over and over, a plan began to form. I decided that if Daniel was going to twist the truth and undermine me, then the only way to stop it was to show everyone exactly what he was saying, a raw, unedited version of the conversation. With a heavy mix of anxiety and resolve, I spent a sleepless night pulling together every piece of evidence, the recording, emails, internal memos, and even testimonies from colleagues who had witnessed his behavior. I compiled everything into a coherent narrative that showcased not only his blatant lies but also the hard work and dedication that I had poured into my role. After carefully reviewing the materials, I scheduled a mandatory team meeting under the guise of discussing upcoming project deadlines. I sent out a simple message: "Team meeting today at 3 p.m. in Conference Room A, important project updates." No one suspected what was in store. The day of the meeting arrived, and the conference room buzzed with the usual mix of nervous energy and casual chatter. Colleagues took their seats, glancing at each other with curiosity about the sudden call to gather. I stood at the front of the room, my hands slightly trembling as I waited for everyone to quiet down. I took a deep breath, then began speaking in a calm, measured tone, a tone that I had honed over months of careful planning and inner resolve. "Good afternoon, everyone. I asked you all to join this meeting today because there's an important issue I feel we need to address, one that affects our team and, ultimately, the success of our company." I paused, scanning the room as murmurs fell silent. Over the past few months, some concerns have been raised regarding our internal communications and work standards. I believe that transparency and honest feedback are crucial to our collective success. With that in mind, I have compiled some information that I'd like to share with you all, I said, nodding toward my phone on the podium. A few curious faces turned in my direction, and I continued, "Please allow me to play a short recording from a conversation I had with a team member." The room fell utterly silent. I tapped a few buttons on my phone, and the recording began to play on the conference room's sound system. Daniel's voice filled the room, clear and unedited, as he casually stated, "Jordan, why do you even try so hard? You're just doing the bare minimum. Soon, everyone will see that you're not as indispensable as you pretend." The recording continued, capturing Daniel's condescending tone and his dismissive rhetoric about my contributions. I watched as shock spread across the faces of my colleagues. Some shifted in their seats, others exchanged glances, and a few even turned red with disbelief. I continued speaking. "You hear what you just listened to? That is not the behavior of someone who values teamwork, accountability, or integrity. I have always strived to be dedicated to my work, to contribute meaningfully, and to foster an environment of trust and excellence here at Apex Innovations. Yet, for months, there have been attempts to cast doubt on my commitment based on unfounded slander. I took another deep breath and looked directly at Daniel, who sat at the back of the room, his face pale and avoiding eye contact. I'm not here to create conflict or to tarnish anyone's reputation, but I believe in the power of truth. By exposing what was said, I hope we can all move forward in a spirit of honesty and mutual respect. I ask that each of us reflect on our actions, communicate openly, and work together towards the success that we all deserve. There was a moment of hushed silence before one of our senior colleagues, Marissa, spoke up. Jordan, thank you for your honesty. It takes real courage to do what you just did, especially when it affects all of us. Her words seemed to ripple through the room, and one by one, others began to murmur their support. Over the next hour, the atmosphere in the room shifted from shock and discomfort to a determined resolve. Colleagues shared their own experiences of witnessing differences between what was said and what was actually done, and several admitted that they too had sometimes felt the sting of underappreciation and injustice. Our manager, Mr. Carlson, stood up and said, "This is a wake-up call for all of us. Let's use this moment to reinforce our commitment to transparency, to build trust, and to ensure that every contribution is recognized and valued." He then promised that an internal review would be conducted and that disciplinary measures would be considered for any form of slander or professional misconduct. After the meeting, Daniel was called into Mr. Carlson's office. I later learned that he was given a stern warning, and steps were taken to ensure that such behavior would not be tolerated again. While I didn't revel in his reprimand, I felt a profound sense of relief and vindication. The truth had been aired, and, more importantly, my integrity had been upheld, not through confrontation alone, but through the collaborative support of my colleagues and leaders. Rebuilding trust. In the weeks that followed, our team began to rebuild the trust that had been shaken. I continued to work hard, my performance now bolstered by a newfound sense of empowerment. I initiated regular meetings where each member was encouraged to document and present their contributions, ensuring that transparency and accountability became the norm rather than the exception. I also started a mentorship program within the department to help younger employees understand the importance of ethical behavior and the power of documenting one's work meticulously. The incident became a catalyst for change, prompting our HR department to introduce new policies for performance evaluations and internal communications. Senior management even organized workshops on workplace integrity, where I was invited to share my experience. Always document everything, I would say. In this digital age, every email, every recorded conversation is your evidence, your voice, and your shield. My words resonated, and soon, a culture of accountability began to bloom within our team, a stark contrast to the toxic atmosphere that had once allowed falsehoods to spread unchecked. Personal reflections. Outside of work, the incident forced me to confront a host of personal questions. I wondered about the nature of trust and the cost of silence in a world where words could be captured digitally, shared instantly, and used against you. I spent many late nights reflecting on how I could become not just a better professional, but a better human being. I took up meditation and joined a local book club focused on personal growth, where I found solace in the stories of others who had overcome betrayal and injustice. One evening, as I sat on my apartment balcony watching the city lights flicker in the cool dusk, I scribbled down my thoughts in a journal. Today, I wrote, I learned that betrayal does not have the power to define me. If I choose to rise with truth and integrity, I am stronger than any lie can ever be. That simple sentence became a mantra, a source of strength I returned to whenever doubts crept in. I began to understand that while the pain of betrayal might never entirely vanish, it could be transformed into the fuel for growth, creativity, and unshakable self-worth. I also reconnected with several old friends who reminded me of who I was before all of this, a person with unwavering values and a deep passion for excellence. Their support, often expressed through long phone calls and heartfelt messages, helped mend some of the wounds inflicted by the ordeal. They reminded me that in the end, authenticity, the courage to be yourself, even when others attempt to discredit you, is the greatest strength of all. A broader impact. What started as a single act of speaking out in a team meeting has rippled far beyond the walls of our department. I began writing about my experience on a personal blog titled Documenting Integrity, where I detailed the journey from betrayal to vindication and explored how technology can both undermine and protect our professional lives. My blog posts caught the attention of a few industry publications, and before long, I was invited to speak at regional conferences on workplace ethics and digital transparency. I shared my story, the recording, the confrontation, the shift in team dynamics, in a series of engaging talks that emphasized the importance of honesty in building a collaborative work environment. The most touching moment came when one of my mentees approached me after a workshop. "Mac," she said tearfully, "your story made me brave enough to share my own struggles at work. I used to think that if I kept quiet, nothing would happen. But your courage has shown me that our voices matter." Her words were a powerful reminder that, by standing up for myself, I had not only reclaimed my own integrity, but had also inspired others to do the same. A message to anyone who's been betrayed. To anyone reading this who has ever felt the sting of betrayal at work, who has been dismissed by those who should have supported you, know that you are not alone. In today's digital landscape, every word we speak, every conversation we have, can be captured and shared. That reality is both a burden and a gift. It can expose our vulnerabilities, but it also empowers us to stand up for ourselves with undeniable evidence and steadfast courage. I learned, through a painful and personal journey, that the truth is a powerful tool, one that, when wielded with integrity, can not only restore your honor but also inspire a culture of accountability and respect. I'm not here to call out anyone's mistakes without consequence. Believe me, I carry the scars of my own pain, but I want you to know that when you document your truth, when you hold fast to your integrity, you become the architect of your own destiny. That day in the conference room, when I played the recording of Daniel's careless, condescending remarks, was more than just a moment of personal vindication. It was a turning point for our entire team. It set a precedent, a standard for what we were willing to tolerate and what we demanded in return for our hard work. It was a declaration that our contributions matter, that our voices deserve to be heard, and that any attempt to undermine us will be met with the unyielding power of documented truth. Looking to the future. Now, as I continue to lead my team and mentor emerging professionals at Apex Innovations, I look back on that day with a sense of quiet pride. I know that the journey was far from easy. There were moments of doubt, nights filled with uncertainty, and days when the weight of betrayal seemed unbearable. But every step of the way forged me into a stronger, more resilient version of myself. I learned to see every minor injustice, every whispered lie, as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to shine even brighter. I've since implemented new protocols in our department for recording key meetings and tracking project contributions. These changes have not only made our work environment more transparent, but have also built a legacy of accountability that I hope will benefit everyone in the organization long after I'm gone. In every team meeting, I remind my colleagues, let your work speak for itself. And if anyone ever tries to steal your voice, make sure you have the evidence to hold them accountable. I also write regularly on my blog, where I share insights, strategies, and personal reflections on the importance of standing up for one's integrity in all aspects of life, not just at work. My goal is to help others navigate a world where truths can sometimes be hidden or manipulated and to inspire them to take control of their own narratives. Final thoughts. So, if you find yourself betrayed at work, if someone takes credit for your hard work and tries to rewrite your story, remember this: document your truth. Stand up for what is rightfully yours. Don't allow the lies of others to dim your light or define your worth. In this digital age, where every conversation can be captured and every word is permanent, you have a powerful tool at your fingertips. Use it. I was once betrayed by a coworker who tried to steal my ideas and tarnish my reputation, but I chose to stand up and reveal the truth. I scheduled a team meeting, played the recording for everyone to hear, and reclaimed my integrity. That moment not only transformed my career, but also redefined the standards in our workplace. It taught me that the truth, when upheld, has the power to create a culture of respect and accountability. As I drive home in the crisp evening air, passing by the city lights that shimmer like a promise in the distance, I carry with me the knowledge that my journey is far from over. Every challenge, every small victory, and every act of bravery in the face of betrayal is a reminder that your story, your truth, is yours to write. And with every new day, I am ready to embrace that truth, build upon it, and inspire others to do the same. Let my experience be a beacon for anyone who's ever been dismissed, overlooked, or betrayed. Your integrity is priceless, and when you stand up for yourself, backed by evidence and truth, you become unstoppable. The road may be long and fraught with obstacles, but with resilience, honesty, and a relentless drive to succeed, You have the power to turn every lie into a stepping stone, every betrayal into a testament of your strength. That, in a nutshell, is my story. A story of betrayal, documented truth, and the unyielding power of standing up for what is right. I was once hurt, misunderstood, and nearly silenced by the lies of a co-worker. Today, I lead a team that values transparency. I mentor those who face similar challenges, and I continue to hold my head high knowing that when the truth is recorded, it can never be erased. And that is a lesson I hope will resonate with you as you carve out your own path in a world that sometimes tries to steal your voice.